And today I'm going to share my top 5 tips for guiding meditation and mindfulness practices. So my first tip is make sure you're clear about what you're sharing. For example, often in a class format we are developing people's concentration, helping them to develop concentration. We might do that by observing the breath or focusing on a body scan, for example. If that's what you're doing, then let everybody know that that's what it is. You're developing the concentration or focus. Don't talk about it as being meditation or mindfulness or something else that's completely intangible. You'll notice that they get confused. They might not say that, but internally they'll be confused and they won't then get the benefits of what you're trying to share. Tip number 2, mind your language. Be careful about the words you use. So many of the words we use in these practices don't really have any meaning, like meditation, mindfulness. What do they actually mean? If you go online and search them, you'll find people give totally contradictory answers about what those words mean. And similarly, the people in your class will have totally different ideas about what meditation is or what mindfulness is or even about what relaxation is. So when you use a word, be clear about what you mean by it. And if you don't know what you mean by it, then you must take some time before you teach to get some clarity around that, probably in your own practice. In that way, everyone will then see clearly where they're going and they'll make much greater advances as well. Top tip 3, keep it short for beginners. If your class are quite new to the practice, it's important to keep it short, and by that I mean around 5 minutes. There are 2 reasons really. The first reason is it's very easy to become put off of these practices. If you sit there for 15 minutes and your mind is just racing, you'll think you're terrible at this. You won't understand that that's not important. You'll really think, oh gosh, I can't have a quiet mind. All I do is think and they're crazy thoughts. But if we keep it short to just 5 minutes or so, that isn't such a great ordeal. They won't feel so put off by the fact that they notice their mind is so noisy. The second reason for keeping it short is that people can have quite scary experiences if you accidentally take them too deep into the practice, or they just fall deeply into the practice. They might become disorientated or slightly confused, and it can be very scary for them. It might even put them off. If we keep the practice short, that's much less likely to happen. Top tip 4, give them plenty of options. So when we're developing something like concentration, we might focus on the breath, for example, but some people get really anxious when they have to focus on the breath. So make sure there are alternatives for everyone, at least 2 or 3 in total. So I might give out a focus of the breath and I might guide that practice. Maybe we count the breath or we visualize it moving. But I'll also make it clear, if observing the breath makes you anxious or uncomfortable or even makes you feel short of breath, please use something like the sounds you can hear around you or the feelings in your body as a focus. Choose one of them and then stick with it. That means that everybody gets a chance to try something that works for them and does it in a way that they can feel okay about the practice, that they won't feel uncomfortable or put off. Top tip 5, leave plenty of time after meditation for people to come out of the practice. There's nothing worse than leaving a practice of meditation or mindfulness too soon and being thrown back into a very confusing, scary world. So bring people out slowly, make sure you allow time for that, make sure they can reconnect with the ground under them, with the rest of their body. Maybe they need to rub their hands or their face or take a stretch or feel the other bits of their body and then slowly open their eyes. Once they've opened their eyes, make sure you just briefly make eye contact if you can, or just check everyone's eyes around the room, because it's very clear to see if people are scared or disconcerted. You know, if they've come out and they don't really feel grounded again. That means that if you need to, you can just briefly check at the end of class if that person's okay, not in public, and then just have a chat if there's anything they need to. Generally, people will always be fine after a short practice. They might just need a few minutes just to reconnect with their body and the space around them. I hope those tips are useful. I'll drop some more at another date, and if you're interested in sharing these sort of practices, we run a course called Before Mind, in which you can explore how to share techniques safely and in a fun way.